Welcome to Passionate Mark.
Welcome to another episode, and today I'm just spontaneous going to do a very short podcast. Well, I always say that, but it potentially isn't small or short. That sounded wrong. Anyways, I am sitting in my car, as you might hear, and I'm on my way to, I don't know what you call it in English, actually. Construction shopping mall. I'm sure I'll figure it out later what it's about. But I'm actually going to buy some paint for painting the summer house that I own with my siblings. And the funny thing is, I get so super passionate when I have other assignments, but I see something that is easy fixable, like something that just gets me kickstarted into something. And in this case, it's like walking past a wall that needs some paint, or walking past the shed where there's like tools that's not in order. Then suddenly I feel the urge to clean up and fix everything and ignore all the other stuff that I have to do. And this, I think, from my research, is very typical ADHD. In many aspects, it is me trying to avoid an assignment. So I will choose other assignments that gives me dopamine, and choose them just to get things started, just to feel like I'm still doing something that feels important. And sure, it is important. It's just not urgent. But I decide to do it now just because I can, I guess. And since there's no actual deadline on the other stuff I have to do, but they're kind of more urgent, it feels like I'm moving faster and I'm doing it within a time span. So I'm actually project managing my own project of painting the house, building a fence, painting some kind of cushion holder that's in the yard, making all this super important and very urgent for myself, meaning I will move forward and I will actually do the things that I'm supposed to do, but just not on the schedule that I originally made. But now, since I made this seem urgent for myself, kind of fooling myself, cheating myself, well, you could say it one way, the ADHD is kind of fooling myself or fooling me, because it makes me believe that this is so important and it's just gonna take 5 minutes, and here I am 3 weeks into it. So it's kind of like a deception. It feels like I'll just do this really quickly and then I'll get it back to my other assignments, and I mean, it's gonna be great because I'm gonna do this first and then that's gonna feel more fun. So really what I'm doing right now is I'm moving with passion. I'm moving where the passion is, but that is also procrastinating. So my passion might be painting the house right now, which for some people would sound very tedious and annoying, or something that they don't want to spend time on. But I actually find it very relaxing, and I get somehow a dopamine kick out of it because, well, my siblings are probably going to enjoy it too, and they're going to be, hey, that's nice. Thank you so much for doing that. And I feel some gratification from that, as well as me seeing something finished, something that's overly done and has like detail to it that looks good, or, you know, because I'm not just splattering paint everywhere and just pretending that's okay. No, I'm literally trying to do a nice finish. And in many ways, well, it helps me, and it's kind of annoying. At the same time, I'm dealing with guilt. So what is this all about? Like, why is the brain wired that way for some people? And there's many philosophies to why it's like that. There's many ADHD specialists saying this is very typical. I'm very inspired by following a guy on YouTube that has, I think it's called ADHD Vision. I wouldn't say every video suits me or I see myself in it, but definitely in some of it. And in this case, I think he's already done a video, something similar to this. It's actually why if I have to clean up my apartment, or I have to, clean up my office or something like that, I would rather hire someone to participate in me cleaning up than me doing it myself, or them doing it for me. But then again, I will do the cleaning after them, because funny thing is, I also have OCD, but in a manageable way, because I figured out how to manage it. I didn't know it was OCD, but in high school I found out having anxiety for like doing weird shit. Anyways, look it up if you don't want to know what ADHD is, or ADHD, then look it up. It's there's various levels of having that, and mine is very minor, but it still is something I would say I converted to be my superhero power, because a lot of the time, well, I'm actually getting better at managing stuff. Not getting better, I guess I'm always doing that, because I practice everything I do. But hang on, I'm gonna bring you with me in as far as I can into the store and buy some paint. But if you look up ADHD and OCD, you'll figure out it's not simple. It's definitely very advanced stuff that people tend to do. Some people wash their hands a million times or 100 times a day. That's not the type of OCD I have. I just like order. I like to put things in the place where I took them, because it stresses me out not being able to find it, because my ADHD doesn't care where I put stuff. So it's super interesting, but hang on and I'll continue this. And I'm back in the car. Well, it's funny, because one way I thought about it, just as getting out of the store, buying the paint, which is like a temporary solution to a bathroom that we need to fix the bathroom. Actually, there's a little bit of ruined wood, like it's getting too old, that wood, so it's kind of like falling apart a little bit. Not too much, but we really just should put a new wall up there and everything. But right now, it's just I'm so tired of waiting for my siblings, figuring out what we should do. Because for me, I'm in the drive right now, the passion of just changing everything and rebuilding the entire bathroom. But again, well, we're 3 at sharing it, so I can't just do whatever I want, of course, even though it will benefit the others, because everything else than what we have is better. But still, I have to respect that they also have to wait for a while. So for me right now, I'm figuring out how to stop that little breakdown of the wood and then paint over with some white until we figure out what to do, because then we can wait a year more or 2 more. But yeah, we have to get it fixed. Anyways, it's funny because having ADHD is like everything feels very urgent. It's like a battle of having patience versus no patience. It's like it's really daily battling. One thing I noticed in some research I did is that a lot of people, and you can think of this as you want, but that's just the research I've done. A lot of people who got the MFR vaccines as kids tend to have more likely have ADHD than people who didn't get them. But again, that study has to be more thorough for someone to say that that is just facts. But we know with we know with autism that most children who has autism, I think it was a doctor and a teacher that did a study on it and said that 99.4 or 5% of children with autism have all gotten the MFR vaccines. And the way that people can see what happened to their kids after getting the vaccines is that from one day to the other after getting the vaccine, 1 or 2 days after, they will not have eye contact with the mother or father anymore. If they had that before, they would probably stop speaking as well. So it's pretty crazy when you look into the science of it. But again, that's not what this is about. It's just while on the subject, I wanted to share that in case you want to dive deeper into that subject. But yeah, ADHD is like a funny thing because it's part of why I'm super passionate. It's part of why I start so many things. I'm really good at starting things, but keeping at it, because I have so many, like you would say in Danish, so many balls in the air. I don't know if you say that in English as well, but I mean juggling many balls. It doesn't mean your actual balls in the air, but well, I guess it could mean that too. But no, seriously, it is about like juggling a lot of stuff at the same time. I've had a company of my own for many, many years, and being self-employed, also had some jobs in the beginning after high school, and learning a lot, especially what type of boss I don't want to be, and I don't want to have. That's why I was so passionate about being my own boss. And the funny thing is, I found out that, well, let's start from scratch. My father was also self-employed. Well, but that was kind of my grandfather pushing him to become a doctor because he didn't know what he wanted to be. And since he was marrying my mother, he was like, dude, you need to. It was probably not like dude. I don't think they talked like that back then. But he was like, you need to get a job. You need to get a proper job. And to get a proper job, you needed an education. And he was pushed into being a doctor, and I think he enjoyed it. He's a pretty good doctor. But became an eye surgeon just a specialist in eye diseases as well. So we have a lot of doctors in the family, but my dad being self-employed and all, and my grandfather being self-employed, even it's not his dad, and my father's father actually being self-employed and sometimes hired as an actor on Danish radio and Danish movies. But there's a lot of self-employment. My sister is self-employed, looking for a job right now, I think, on the side, and just something she wants to try out, to be like try that now, because she's never done that in that way. She had many jobs before, but I mean, it's very interesting. I look forward to seeing her journey. My brother's always had jobs. He's never been really self-employed, but then he's been kind of his own boss in a lot of his jobs that he had. My mother was a hired teacher, so never was self-employed or anything. But my father, after my mother died in 2012, came out and was, through an email, try to be honest, not very subtle, just wrote Elena, your half-sister, in the subject field, and then there was just 3 pictures of someone that looked a lot like my sister. So apparently between my brother and me, we have a sibling in Switzerland, and she actually speaks Danish. Her mom was Danish, the dad was Danish, but grew up in Switzerland. So when I met her in 2013, as the only sibling of us 3 that wanted to actually have contact with her, I was like, it's not her fault. And I found out that she was also, or is also, self-employed photographer, artist, did like iPhone covers as well, as far as I remember. And she's so driven as well, like my sister is. So there's a lot of like self-employment, and there's a lot of us having ADHD type of behavior. Not being extremely passionate, but not being super focused on one thing, but being very good at juggling many things at the same time. But when I see other families, people are much more calm, which means I didn't grow up with my half-sister, but I met her when she was 35 and I was like 32 or something like that, 33. So again, I mean, a lot of passion behind all this. And so I do believe that you can turn your ADHD around for it to be super passion and for you to be super productive. But there's also a limit depending on how much ADHD type of behavior you have. You might actually not be able to focus on one thing at a time. But if you could just focus on 2 things at the time, then you might be able to actually function. And functioning ADHD people are very often the people creating big companies, or not, maybe like startups and concepts and ideas that excel the world forward. So I do see a lot of potential and a lot of positive stuff in this. But as a person living with ADHD, I would say, and non-medicated, I would say it's super annoying sometimes, but it's also super amazing, because being so passionate about random things all the time kind of makes me enjoy life in many ways that I never thought I would. And I mean, there's so many ways to live with ADHD without actually being a victim for some medicine, and because the side effects of that medicine is just not worth it to most people I know. A few people having it so bad that they can't focus on anything, and it comes with depression sometimes as well. So you might want to start taking medicine just to get out of the worst zone of it, and then I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it, but I guess for some people it's actually saving their butts. So all in all, I would say it's worth looking into, that the food that you eat, the way that you sleep, and if you sleep enough, if you're like me, then sleep is something you do when you're exhausted, and that is just not healthy when we look at science. It's just not the way to live life, and it really doesn't benefit you at all. So if you can balance that out, and I actually did a blog post on my Danish website, but you can go and find it anyways, and you can translate it with AI, or you can translate it with, I like the translator DeepL, D-E-E-P-L, if you don't know that one, but you can use Google Translate as well. And I try to give my best advice, and a typical ADHD article for me is super long with a lot of facts and a lot of ideas of how to fix it, mostly based on scientific research, but definitely worth checking out. You can find it on barner.dk. And I'm so happy that you would listen to this very short podcast today about ADHD and being super passionate. Right now, I bought my paint, and let's see if I get it done at all, because it is a fixed solution I'm trying to fix here. So I'll try to see if I'll do a follow-up later on if I actually did it, and maybe even post it on my Instagram. You can find me on Instagram, Mark Barner, that's M-A-R-K, like Denmark, and you can find it on Mark Barner, B-A-R-N-E-R. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the passion today. And if you are passionate yourself, I would love to hear what you're passionate about and what you're up to. So DM me on Instagram and tell me your story. If it's something I resonate with, then maybe it's something we should talk about in the podcast. If not you, then just me, with the inspiration maybe from what you're doing. Anyways, I enjoy you listening always, and I'm glad I finally did another episode. Maybe I should do more. If you like this episode, let me know. Also, reach out on Instagram, or you can find more stuff on markbarner.com. And I hope you will be as passionate as I am eventually.
Stay motivated, stay passionate, and thank you for listening to
Passionate Mark.